Hello and welcome to the 2020 Get Out the Vote Social Justice Rally. My name is Tanya Wiley with WCP Consulting and Communications, and we are one of the sponsors for this evening's event. We are also from the great state, the battleground state of North Carolina. Our sponsor partner, Voces de la Frontera, is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, also another battleground state. And it's a pleasure to be here with you all this evening. As a legal business strategist and as a member of the National Bar Association and the American Bar Association, I have worked with attorneys from all around the country representing families who have been harmed by those who are there to serve and protect. And the question that they constantly ask is when? When will justice come? Well, let me tell you. We have 2 days. In 2 days, we have an opportunity to move a little closer to elevating our voices. We have the ability to change the trajectory of our nation just by casting our votes. Ordinarily, we would have been gathered together in a particular place, but today, this evening, it's special because we are gathered together virtually. And we have an exciting roster of celebrity voices, community leaders, and just everyday people just like you and me, joining us from around this nation. It is an honor to have my brother and my friend with us this evening. And he really needs no introduction because he's done so much for so many. So please help me welcome the incomparable, the award-winning artist, producer, actor, and social engineer, Johnny Gill.
All right, so here we are. Time is ticking. And here we are coming down to the wire. This election is the most important election of our lives. And I just want to take a minute to thank my dear sister Tanya for inviting me to be a part of this Get Out and Vote rally. It's so funny because if anybody knows her, you know that you can't say no to her. Saying no to Tanya is like just telling her, I'll think about it, because she'll be sitting right on your doorstep until you say yes. But, at the end of the day, let me just tell you, I wouldn't have missed this for the world. And I thank her and want to thank everyone for allowing me to have an opportunity to be able to have this moment to remind so many people that we need to get out and vote, because this election is really, really important to each and every one of us. Now, most of you guys know that, I come from a family of preachers. If you don't know, if you listen to my music and hear me singing, no matter what I sing, you're going to hear church in it. It just happens. So y'all know how church folks are, right? So what we want to do right now, because, church folks, we like things done decently and orderly. So what I want to do right now, I want to bring someone here to lead us into a word of prayer. And this powerful man goes by the name of Bishop Henry Fernandez. And guess what? He's out of the battleground state of Florida. And so, Bishop, I'm going to ask you if you would take a minute and just lead us into a word of prayer.
Hello, this is Bishop Henry Fernandez, senior pastor here at the Faith Center Church in the beautiful city of Sunrise, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I've been a resident here in Florida for now 35 years. It's a great state. Many people during this election, they're now saying that this is the battleground. People are fighting for this state. The election, I think, is a very important process in our way of life as Americans. I encourage you today, make your voice be heard by your vote. Go out, get your family, your friends, everyone. And for those of you who are millennials, I encourage you, become a part of the political process. It's your future, right? You can't complain about your future if you did not take action now. I want to pray for you. I'm so grateful for those who are in charge of this platform today, this virtual meeting, and they've asked me to do the invocation. I'd like to pray. Can we do so at this time? Father, we thank you for this moment. this great opportunity that we all have in making a difference, not only in our lives, but in the lives of future generations. Lord, we ask your blessings upon this country. Lord, we do know that there's so many things that's going wrong in this country now. Lord, we know that you're a healer. We know that, Lord, nothing will ever take you by surprise. Your will be done. So that's what we pray, that your will that's already established in heaven be established on the earth. So we pray, Lord, for the election. We pray, Lord, that your will, we know that your will be done. Whatever your desire is, that's what we're going to accept. That you would strengthen this land, heal this land of the division, heal us, Lord, of systemic racism. Lord, we just ask that whatever is against your will, that you'll raise up men and women who will make a difference in America. We thank you and we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of today's meeting. God bless.
Wow, thank you, Bishop. That was powerful. And this nation sure could use that. And thank you again. Okay, you guys, you know what? We have a wonderful evening lined up for you guys. So just sit back, relax, and we're just going to have a good time. We know we're here for a purpose, but we're also going to enjoy each other and make this a little entertaining for you guys so you don't get bored and start doing this. So bear with me. But now I want to bring up someone that really needs no introduction. His name is Reverend Yearwood of the Hip Hop Caucus. And, he's impacted not only just his community, but the nation. And I want you guys to give him a warm welcome. Rev?
Hey, everybody. It's Rev Yearwood, president of the Hip Hop Caucus. And I'm so excited to join you for this Our Lives Depend on It voter rally. Our lives truly do depend on our vote this year, and we must get out and vote. At the Hip Hop Caucus, we have been honored to be doing our campaign, Respect My Vote, one of the longest serving hip hop political voting campaigns ever. Award winning at that, but it means nothing if people don't get out and vote, which is why this election is so critical, from our issues of housing, transportation, infrastructure, and definitely climate change. We must get out and vote. We must ensure that we are at the table, because either we are at the table or we are on the menu. It's important for us to do more than just demonstrate, because demonstration without legislation leads to frustration. So we must do all we can to vote so we can shape the policies that impact our communities. Because either you shape the policies, or let me tell you something, those policies will definitely shape you. So this election cycle, get out and vote. Please, whatever you got to do, make sure you get out and vote, because our lives depend on it. Your life, my life, our lives.
Respect my vote. Man, I love you. All power to the people.
There are no words to describe this powerful and prolific celebrity voice. He is one of the hardest working actors in Hollywood, from Coming to America to Shaft to my personal favorite, Coach Carter. I could go on, but more importantly, Samuel L. Jackson is putting his money where his mouth is. He's making the late, great Congressman John Lewis very proud, because he's getting into good trouble. So please listen as Johnny discusses the importance of exercising the right to vote with Samuel L. Jackson.
All I got, everyone knows that Sam is a bad influence on me. Everybody knows I was just church boy, and I came here with a clean slate, just as innocent as you can be. And hanging around Sam has just, he was the one that widened my vocabulary. Words that I'd never even heard of.
Everybody saw that movie on BET, and I wasn't in it. So you can let that go. The importance of voting hasn't struck someone, then they're not paying attention to what's happening around the country, and they can't be distracted unless, you know, they have COVID or they're taking care of somebody with COVID. But everything else, I mean, the world is, you know, turned upside down, and it has been headed toward this, you know, for the last 4 years. A world that we live in that's going to be beneficial to the people coming behind us. All those young people who are out there who are voting for the first time, or people who are, you know, voting for the second time, who really, really haven't known but two presidents. I mean, they know Blacc, and now they know this dude. So they know what's right and they know what's wrong.
What do you say about, because I've heard some of my own friends, the upper echelon ones, so to speak, will say, that it's about not being penalized because they've been successful and getting and making their way, and that why should we have to be penalized, and I should have to pay
How do they
taxes.
see it as a penalty? That's the first
why?
part. The first thing is why is that a penalty?
Right.
It's not a penalty. I mean, it's what you do. It's your service to, you know, the community at large, or to the world at large, to the rest of humanity. Yeah, you've been fortunate, and even if you pay 39%, you're still way more fortunate than they are. I mean, you're not going to be what do they call it? They call hunger something else now. Food insecure. You know, like you're not gonna be food insecure, and you know your house note is paid for. You probably already bought your house. You got too many cars already. You probably need to be driving an electric car. So I mean, that's what's called greed. You know, if you're not willing to reach back, think about where you came from. Unless they came from a household that was already, you know, secure or plush. You know, then they should remember who those people were in their neighborhoods that got them went to work every day, that made sure that they had an opportunity to become these successful individuals that they are.
Not to realize and not to forget
they have a responsibility to the communities that they came from. You know,
and to not forget, nobody becomes successful on their own. Even making records, someone has to get up. There's an engineer, somebody has to go to work every day to put that record on in order to play it, in order for the people to hear it. And as much as I might be out front, can have and make the greatest song on the planet, it's still just sitting here in my studio. It's just a great song sitting in the studio. Everybody has to. Nobody gets where they are by themselves. So at the end of the day, when you think about it and talking about being selfish or being penalized, it's like the reality is just that this is what makes America work, is that we're all in it together. We're all sharing. We're all helping each other. And it's not just I.
Yeah, and if it's if it comes down to that, I mean, if it's those people who are saying those kinds of things, you know, the 39% that they're talking about that they may be paying of their income might be one of those chains they're wearing around their neck. You know, wear one less chain, or one less bracelet, you know, one less ring. You know, it's not like they're gonna take all your money. You know? And if you got a smart accountant, which you should have, somebody who's helping you manage your taxes, then you get a write-off anyway. Figure it out. Work it out. It's smart business, like that other guy says. You know, I don't pay taxes because the government allows me not to pay taxes. That makes me smart. So be smart. Pay your little 39% and be okay with it, and you know, keep it moving. But first things first, you know, we got to vote. We got to get these people out there to understand that your vote is the one thing that you can do that means something. Everybody keeps saying, my vote doesn't mean anything. My vote doesn't mean anything. Your vote means nothing.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
If you don't vote, then you don't have anything to bitch about because you got no reason. You know, but if you vote, then you got a voice, you expressed your opinion, and you need to understand how that works, who you're voting for, what those things mean, especially on the down ballot, who these other people are.
So with all of the messages, and commercials and all of those things that are out that we're seeing right now, it is, I gotta admit, it's to me, it's confusing. And I'm wondering, what do you say to, like, there's young people that are voting for the first time, and a lot of them are seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, and I've been around for a long time and voting, but I'm looking, and you start seeing all of these different messages that are coming across, that they're going at each other. What do you tell, and what do you do for young people who's going to vote, but really still getting all of these mixed messages? How do we get them, or have them get them to a place to understand what it is they're voting for and why they're voting?
You look at the facts. I mean, facts are facts. I mean,
Yeah.
people gonna believe. People believe what they want to believe, or they're compelled to believe. So, and a lot of people only get their news from one source. That's like online. You know? But every day we break a record number of people who are catching the virus. What the hell are you going to believe? You know,
Right.
Are we turning the corner? No, we're not. You know, like today, we got almost 100,000 people today.
Yes. And I know we was just talking earlier, and this is not a shameless plug. I'm just speaking on this because I just witnessed this. The series that you guys just did, Enslaved. I was just telling you earlier about the fact that I've been here 54 years on this planet, and I'm sitting here looking at this movie, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, there's still so much more that I missed, that I didn't even know. And I mean, we've all heard this story. I mean, heard this, and it's not a cliche, but we always hear this: you got to know where you come from to know where you're going. And I'm sitting there watching, and my jaw dropped, watching this information that they don't teach you in school.
Yeah, or they don't talk about. Yeah, but I mean, you have to go back to things like during Reconstruction. As soon as emancipation happened, there were more Black people in the government, you know, that were elected officials than there are now. You know, brothers were winning, and they've been doing that, and the vote has been important. They understood that then, and we need to keep people understanding that, you know, blood has been shed for you to have this right. You know, not just, you know, the Martin Luther Kings and, you know, the marchers, the Medgar Evers and the Kennedys and all these other people, but way before that, people's names that you've never even heard have been killed so that you can have the right to vote.
Nice to vote. Wow.
People ain't been scared, you know, for a very long time.
Wow.
You're standing on a lot of people's backs here.
Yeah.
You didn't get to get up here, you know, because you can jump high. You got up there because it's a hill of bodies that allow you to walk and keep walking up, and you can keep going higher. And it's still happening right now. Understand that. You owe all those people that you're standing on to go in there, put your name on a ballot and register and vote.
Hi, my name is Carlos Moore. I'm the managing partner of the Cochran firm, Mississippi Delta. I'm a civil rights attorney, and I've been one for the past 18 years. 14 of those 18 years, I've been fighting against police brutality across the state of Mississippi and Tennessee. Your vote is so very vital in this year of 2020. This is the most important election of our lifetime. You need to vote as if our ancestors died for it, because they did. With your vote, we can see systemic change in America. We can put an end to America's original sin. We can put an end to police violence, police brutality, and racial injustice with the right leadership at the helm. Again, my name is Carlos Moore. I'll be voting on November the 3rd in a very safe and secure manner, and I encourage you to do the same. Thank you.
¿Qué pasó, gente? Soy Escribe de Quinto Sol y les quiero recordar que no se olviden votar, porque estas votaciones, estas elecciones, es una de las elecciones más importantes de la historia de este país. Y el voto de nosotros será un voto decisivo. Y queremos cambiar muchas cosas que han estado afectando a nuestra gente. Y la única forma de hacerlo es votando. Por favor, vota porque es muy importante. No se te olvide, el voto de nosotros va a ser la decisión de cómo van a salir las cosas en el futuro. Así es de que no se te olvide votar, porque la vida de nosotros depende de esas votaciones. Queremos un mejor futuro para nuestra gente, así es de que no se te olvide votar.
I see you. I know it's hard, y'all. There's so much going on, and you just trying to hold on. But hang on in there. It's been a long time coming, but a change gonna come. Let's go. I see the tears in your eyes. How you gonna make it? People saying hold on, but it's hard to stay strong. You're doing everything you know how to live every day. You've been trying to get ahead, but can't seem to find your way. I know it seems like we're living in the very last days. I can hear grandma say, trouble don't last always. I know it's been a long time coming, yeah. But I know change gonna come. Change is gonna come. It's been a long time coming. But I know change gonna come. This world that we live in can be cruel sometimes. Sickness and poverty is at an all-time high. There's no freedom but war. There's no justice no more. Tell me, will it ever change? How long will we feel this pain? I know it seems like we're living in the very last days, but I can hear grandma say, trouble don't last always. I know it's been a long time. It's been a long time. But I know, gotta believe it, y'all. A change is gonna come. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. But I know change gonna come. Oh, won't get no better. That a change, it's gonna come. Oh, won't get no better. That a change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will, yeah. It's been a long time. But I know that a change is gonna come, yeah. You've been crying, you've been hurt a long time. Do you believe that a change is coming? Been a long time. Don't you give up, no. Change is gonna come. It's been a long time. But I know oh, everybody just clap your hands, just clap. Clap your hands, just clap. Clap your hands, just clap. Yeah. If you believe that a change is coming, that a change is coming. Oh, don't you dare give up. No bad change. It's coming, y'all. Gotta know.
I have the pleasure of introducing someone who is a mover and a shaker, a trailblazer, a phenomenal attorney who is making a difference across America. C.K. Hoffler serves as the president of the National Bar Association, and she is leading the way to stomp out voter suppression. So please welcome my sister and my friend, C.K. Hoffler.
Hi, my name is C.K. Hoffler. I am the president of the National Bar Association. I'm chair of the Rainbow Push Coalition. I'm CEO of the C.K. Hoffler firm, but most importantly, I'm the mother of two magnificent children, two boys, who recently was stopped by the police for just driving to school. And I had that unpleasant experience that my narrative would not be that my children would not survive that incident. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to vote. We must vote. We have so many people died so that we had the right to vote, so that we could be here today. Men, women, old, young, no matter what your cultural heritage is, we must vote. There's a Portuguese expression that I'd like to share with you. A luta continua. Vitória é certa. Let me say it again. A luta continua. Vitória é certa. In Spanish, I think it's la lucha continua. The struggle continues. And victory is certain. In French, la victoire est certaine. I've used 3 languages to let you know I don't care what language you speak. What language you speak. You must vote. You don't have the right not to vote.
I'm Amira.
I'm Mary. I'm Fatu. And I'm Indy.
And we're with Youth Empowered in the Struggle. As a youth, a problem I notice all the time is police brutality and mass incarceration. Ways that we can help this problem is by divesting in the police and investing in our community.
Whoever's elected needs to respect, protect, and fight for our communities. They need to start holding people accountable for their actions. Whoever's elected needs to love us, not hate us.
Police brutality has impacted me and my community in some of the worst ways possible. It caused protests to turn into riots. Simply being a Black person in America is scary because you never know when your last day could be.
Voting gives you a voice in your community and to stand up for the issues you believe in. That's why it's important as minorities to vote. Also, Wisconsin is a battleground state, and the Black and Latino votes can tip this election. The community depends on you. Immigrants may not have the privilege to vote, so they count on you. As youth, we know we matter.
As youth, we can make a difference.
As youth, we will transform America.
As youth, we demand justice. Si se puede!
You know, our youth are the future. And when I hear young people talking about the plight of their communities, I don't know about you, but it makes me want to work even harder to do my part. Because anytime young people know that we have to vote for change, as an adult, we should see it. And that's exactly why every one of us, we have to vote. It's a must.
Please go with us to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where our sponsor partner, Voces de la Frontera, will share with us a little bit about what's going on in the battleground state of Wisconsin. Christine?
Welcome to Wisconsin, one of the key battleground states in the nation on the eve of a historic election. It's an honor as an organization to join forces with local and national Black Lives Matter movement leaders to link the struggles of the Black and Brown community, to demand police accountability, the end of institutionalized racism, and to join in a call of action to use the power of our vote on November 3rd to advance our struggle for justice. The struggle for just laws and safe communities does not end at the polling place, but it is to our peril if we ignore who is elected and the power we allow them to wield. In 2020, we must elect people that will not use the government apparatus and the bully pulpit against us to take back decades of progress and the opportunity to advance our struggle. In Wisconsin, we are fighting back against police violence, lack of accountability and transparency, and to end collaboration with ICE. In Milwaukee County, we have been supporting the Acevedo family during an unconscionable delay in justice for the murder of Jose Acevedo by an off-duty police officer. In Racine County, we are supporting the family of 18-year-old Tyrese West. He was stopped for riding his bike without a light and shot execution style in the back of his head twice by a police officer who is still on duty. In Wauwatosa, we're supporting the families of Alvin Cole, Jay Anderson Jr., and Antonio Gonzalez, who were murdered by an officer still on the force. In Kenosha, we are supporting Jacob Blake, who was shot in the back 7 times and left paralyzed as he approached his vehicle in front of his children. Ya basta, enough is enough. These protests and local campaigns that include too many victims to be named must translate into political power on November 3rd. We are the majority. In Wisconsin, multiracial youth, Black and Latinx voters will decide the election if we turn out. We ask you to join voices in turning out 23,000 voters on Election Day. If we do not vote in the numbers that we hold, we are already seeing the threats to our safety and rights unfold before our eyes. In Wisconsin, we have been fighting back. We've been joining the struggles with the Black community for community oversight over the police and to end any collaboration with Immigrations and Customs Enforcement that is being used by the federal government as a tool for mass persecution of people of color, immigrants, and to fuel the growth of a private prison industry. Our vote will save lives. In Wisconsin, a national hotspot for the pandemic, Black and brown communities are disproportionately affected with sickness and death because we are disproportionately part of the essential workforce. In Wisconsin, as in the nation, we have high numbers of multiracial youth, Latinx, and Black voters that will decide this election if we turn out to vote. Not just on the streets, but at the ballot box. We must demonstrate our voice for justice. Silence is consent. To not vote in this election is to consent to the harm that will come to our communities if we do not participate. Vote because our lives depend on it, and our very right to struggle for justice depends on it. On Tuesday, November 3rd, vote for our families, vote for our communities. Let's make history together. Si se puede? Yes, we can. Always.
Hey, I'm Maya Jupiter. Thanks for having me. And this song is called Shake. We hold the power one by one. Fists in the air, we are never done. Better brace yourself because we just begun. Run, 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 here we come, come, come. Tunisia to Syria, down to Congo, across to Colombia. When we get justice, we will release. Then we can have some peace. Come on! X-Town to the West Bank, Casablanca to Sri Lanka, London to Jakarta, Venezuela to Sparta, China to Carolina, Botswana to Tijuana, Lebanon to Louisiana, Guyana to Ghana. I'm sick of all the deaths in police custody. Where's the consequences and accountability? Ain't nobody wanna take responsibility. Black blood on your hands, blue, you are guilty. Never stop speaking cause my speech is free. Never stop yelling so you can hear me. It's not safe on the streets, you call this liberty. You get no respect with no integrity. You can use tear gas, water or pepper spray, but nothing will stop the change coming your way. Religion should never govern the state. How can something so divine cause so much hate? How much more can people endure? 1%ers love keeping the people poor, while corporations keep buying up the law. I stand with you now, this is what I'm here for. X-Town to the West Bank, Casablanca to Sri Lanka, London to Jakarta, Venezuela to Sparta, China to Carolina, Botswana to Tijuana, Lebanon to Louisiana, Guyana to Ghana. New slave labor, poor kids lose. Walk around the neighborhood and see cops cruise. Hunting, looking for a new suspect to lock them in a cell to collect the next check. 3-strike rule means kids out of school, straight down a pipeline for a lifetime. Military guns held by fools never can win when it's designed to lose. Girl beat down cause she had a cell phone. Boy kept back, now he's in a group home. No need to look around the world to know it's strange when a cop kills a kid at point blank range. Block by block, feel the city rock. Tension, release. No justice, no peace.
It's so important that you vote because this is your moment to shape America into what you want it to be. We're at a critical juncture in this country now, at the crossroads of change, and you alone have an opportunity to make a difference. Your one vote is the difference because it is your voice.
Hi, this is Bishop Sir Walter Mack, Union Baptist Church, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, coming to you, urging you and inviting you to vote. What I am telling you is that we must show up at the polls and vote. I am ever reminded of a story about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in one of the marches that he was in. A white news reporter came up on a little girl who was marching in the march, and she didn't have any front teeth in her mouth. And she asked the little girl, "Why are you marching in the march?" And the little girl, without any front teeth in her mouth, she looked at the news reporter and said, "I'm marching for my freedom." She couldn't say the word freedom because she didn't have her two front teeth, but she said, "I'm marching for my freedom." What I'm trying to tell you is, though she couldn't pronounce the word, she knew what it was. You must know today what it is that we are in need of. And we are in bondage as a nation. We are in bondage as a people because we are suffering and we are dying. We are dying because leadership decisions have been made that's causing us to literally die today. Can I tell you that decisions make us, but a crisis reveal us? And I want you to know that in this nation that we are in a crisis and we are being revealed, and it's going to take you voting to make the difference. There is a 103-year-old woman in this city by the name of Virginia Newell who says that a voteless people is a hopeless people. And I want you to know that it's so important that you get to the polls that we can hold on to our hope. And young people, we're urging you to show up and vote. In the words of President Obama, who once stated that if you won't allow your grandparents to pick your playlist, why will you allow your grandparents to pick your future leaders? I'm urging you to show up at the polls and make sure you vote. This is our time to cast our vote. God bless you, and I'll look for you at the polls.
All right, so here's a group of ladies that have had an impact all over the country, and they know oh so well what it means to vote for a better nation for our children.
My name is C.K. Hoffler, and I have the honor to be president of the National Bar Association, an organization that represents the interests of 66,000 African-American lawyers, students, law professors, and judges. And it's my honor today to bring together a dynamic group of women who in their own right have made history and have broken through glass ceilings. So against that introduction, I'm just going to say a brief word about each of these magnificent women, and then we're going to just start a discussion. We're going to start with Santita Jackson. Santita Jackson has her own show, the Santita Jackson Show, which airs in the Midwest in Wisconsin and in Illinois. She's a political commentator, a writer, a producer, a vocalist, a singer, an actress. She does it all, and she does it all with such finesse. So Santita Jackson, we're just delighted to have you on this segment today. I next would like to introduce Dr. Deborah Verholden. I often say that there's only one dynamic, extraordinary epidemiologist in the world. Of course, I know there are others, but there's one who has the unique ability to bring in the impact of COVID on our communities here in the United States, and that's Dr. Deborah Verholden. Thank you for being here today. Next, there are some lawyers that are legends, and they're not just legends because we say they're legends because of the impact that they've had on their community and the work they've done. And that would be none other than Kim Keenan. Kim Keenan is a past president of the National Bar Association. She's a former general counsel and secretary of the NAACP. She is a dynamic trial lawyer focused on medical negligence for years, working for Jack H. Owender and Associates in DC. And she's currently an arbitrator and a mediator for JAMS, a national arbitrator, actually an international arbitrator and mediator for JAMS, and one of the first women in the DC office ever at JAMS Mediation. Next, I would like to introduce Elizabeth McGovern. I've known Elizabeth for so many years. She's a lawyer, she's a philanthropist, she's a producer, she's extraordinary, and she's a woman of passion and heart, and she's an entrepreneur. And when you see her and when you hear her speak, you will understand why so many love and respect her and count on her, because she often speaks truth to power. Thank you, Elizabeth, for joining us. When we talk about dynamic lawyers, I talked about Kim Keenan. powerhouse lawyers in the Atlanta metropolitan area. To me, there were only 3 women that I could call on that I knew could mobilize and speak to the issue of why voting in this election season is so important in Atlanta. I'm going to start with Anita Thomas. Anita Thomas it's not just that she's a partner at a leading firm here in the Atlanta metropolitan area. It's not just that she is leading the charge for the Georgia bar and incorporating courageous conversations about diversity and inclusion and everything that goes along with that. She is absolutely an extraordinary trial lawyer. And even though she's a defense lawyer and I'm a plaintiff's lawyer, she's really the best of the best. So Anita, welcome to this discussion. Sydney Welch. Sydney Welch, another extraordinary lawyer in the Atlanta area. She focuses on healthcare law. She's a partner at a firm here in Atlanta. She's dynamic, and I knew when I wanted to have I wanted women in the Atlanta metropolitan area to bring a certain edge to this discussion. I thought about Sydney because we've had a lot of discussions. So Sydney, welcome to this discussion. And finally, on this panel, and just as a disclaimer, I'm not old enough to have a child as old as Pamela Peñado Stewart, theoretically. But if there is one fierce young lawyer, immigration lawyer, who's a partner, a named partner in her firm, and there's an expression, you take names, well, there's certain expressions. It's Pamela Peñado. She's Peñado Stewart. She's fierce, she's wonderful, she's beautiful, she's talented, and she's our future. So we're going to start this discussion. We're in the election season. We're less really than a week away from the elections. Many of you have, I hear Santita Jackson every day on the show, on the Santita Jackson show, and Deborah Verholden, Dr. Deborah Verholden, you often comment on the significance of the vote and the importance of voting safely. So the first question, Santita Jackson, is to you. What is the significance of this election? And I ask you this with all of your background, having grown up, lived, and been born in the civil rights movement, because of course your father is none other than the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr. So Santita, can you express to those who are listening and to the viewers what the significance of this election is and why it's critical to vote?
I do hope that you will vote in 2020. You can see clearly now in 2020 how important it is for you as Americans to participate in the making of a great America. America is an idea, that is an ideal that is constantly evolving, that is constantly being perfected, but it can only be perfected with your help. And it can only become America what America's supposed to be if you vote. It is your voice. It is the day that the prince and the pauper, the president and the homeless man or woman are equals. Vote. Vote for the ancestors who could not vote. Vote for your great-grandmother, your grandmother, your great-grandfather, your great-grandfather, for all the people who immigrated to this country, looking for freedom, looking for liberty. For those who were enslaved in this country, for those who were eliminated from this country. There's so many people whose stories make up the American story. And you know what? On November 3rd, everybody is the same. Everybody has a voice. Use it. It is your voice.
I'm Elizabeth McGovern. I am a lawyer. I am the wife of an immigrant, the daughter of a serviceman. I am a proud voter. I keep hearing everybody talk about with COVID and things that are going on that they want to get back to normal, or you hear this Make America Great Again. And I can't imagine that. We've gone through a lot in the last few months. We've had protests, we've had the Me Too movement, we've had riots, we've had so many things that we've struggled with. We are going through a metamorphosis. And I can't imagine anyone talking about wanting to go back to normal. I want to go to something great, something in the future. We're moving forward. And I just especially want to say to women, we have the power. People have tried to oppress us. People have tried to confuse us or talk us into something else, but we have the power. We need to exercise it. And one of the best ways we can do that today is through our vote.
Kim, what does it mean for you when we look back to those young women who want to be Kim Keenan, who want to be like those of us on this panel? What does this election mean to you?
Well, we are baton holders. We're torch bearers, and we have to be leading the way. And we expect people to follow. We have to be going somewhere. And when you're a woman, I don't care whether it's left or right or red or blue, women get it done. And we have to remember that if anything is to be better, if the arc of the moral universe bends toward justice, it's some women bending that arc, because women understand that we have to be together, that we have to be focused, and that we cannot be blown about by nonsense and foolishness as we try to get things done. It will take women to get this done. If you look at any election, and certainly if you look at the history of Black women voting in America, we vote to move the republic forward. We do want to be citizens and not serfs. And it is personal. You know, sometimes people will say to me, you know, why are you so passionate about this? You know, why are you so because I stand on the shoulders of people who bled, who were beaten, who were killed because they wanted to exercise this right to vote. And you know, there are people in America who don't know that, CK. People who don't know why you need election protection. People who don't know that they try to move the voting date. People who don't know that there are people standing out at the polling place saying, oh, you know, if you didn't pay your child support, or if it's not clear what country you belong to at this moment. I mean, you know, people who are there just with this, they call it, you know, shenanigans, but it's not shenanigans. It is obstruction of the American way of life. And quite frankly, you know, if we aren't serious about this right to vote, we are hypocrites, because we are the ones going all over the world saying how powerful this right is, but yet every time there's an election, we allow this space for people to take away from, you know, it doesn't even matter who the vote is for, but that you need to make this vote so you know that your voice is being heard, but that you can choose to vote for people who can move us forward and not take us backward. What do they say, Santita? Ever forward, never back.
Amen. Never forward and never back. Well, you touched on something, Kim. You talked about in this world, you know, how the role how we see ourselves in this world. Well, one of the experiences I had, unfortunately, I saw election suppression, voter suppression, alive and well in my last time that I voted in the primary here in Brookhaven, which is outside, for those who don't know, it's in sort of the Atlanta metropolitan area. And one thing that just upset me to the core was that I was in the voting station waiting in line to be called so I could go to the machines. This was after waiting for about 4.5 hours, because initially the machines weren't working, the brand new machines. Then they didn't have enough paper ballots, all of these issues. But the volunteers just automatically gave them a provisional ballot and just kind of brushed them off. And in this election, we know that immigration is a big issue. And I wanted to have one of the foremost immigration dynamic lawyers in the state of Georgia, not just in Atlanta, in the state of Georgia, to join us to talk about why you feel, Pamela, it's important for us to vote in this season and the impact of this election on immigration issues.
Yeah, this is the most important election of our time. I mean, you know, I've heard that if you want something said, you ask a man. If you want something done, you ask a woman. We mobilize, we strategize, we come together, we tell a friend to tell a friend, we come together and we get this done. So it's gonna be up to us to make this happen. We have to vote. I mean, everything is on the line. The economy, women's rights, immigration, basic human rights, everything is on the line. It's not about any of us individually. It's about all of us collectively voting to move our community forward. And again, it's not only about immigration, although that is huge on the ballot. Please vote. But again, it's about basic human rights and human decency, why we should all vote and exercise our voice the only way that we can during this time, which is by voting.
Absolutely. You see, I said she's my child. I said she's my daughter. But thank you so much. Pamela, for your comments. Now, we are voting during COVID, and then more COVID, and then some more COVID. This is a dangerous time. In Atlanta, we saw lines wrapped around buildings. As I said, it took me 5 hours to vote during the primaries. And Anita Thomas, so Anita, what does this election mean to you, to this country, from your perspective?
Sure. So, you know, I'm glad that you asked me to participate, because voting for me, I've done it on autopilot. I did autopilot for many years. I did it out of a sense of obligation, but I will tell you, given the recent events in our country, the nationwide protests, the issues surrounding the Supreme Court, COVID, the health disparities, there is not an issue that impacts the lives of women, of the communities that I care deeply about, African American community, that are not impacted by voting. So you think about Fannie Lou Hamer and all of those women who sacrificed and who struggled and gave so much just to gain the very basic right to vote.
So we talked about, we're celebrating, August 18, 2020 marked the centennial, 100 years of women achieved the right to vote. But yet, a half a century later, on August 6, 1965, women of color basically were granted the right to vote. And I just want us to think about that. I want us to also think, and I'm going to go back to COVID, what it's like to vote during COVID. So we've got two healthcare experts amongst us. And I'm going to first go to Sydney Welch, who has a master's in healthcare law, I believe it is, or in healthcare policy. I think that's the appropriate terminology. And who is a partner in a major firm here. She's just so dynamic and doing major work in the healthcare industry as a lawyer. So Sydney, when we think about voting during COVID and what that means to so many people who are standing in the lines with the masks, with the protective gear, and with all of the inequities that people are thinking about, what does that mean to you?
Well, CK, thank you. And I'm not going to be the epidemiologist on this call. So I just have the lowly master's in PUM. And, as Anita said, it's also a way to honor those in the past. We have an obligation to fulfill what we have been granted. And no matter who you are, and I think this is very important, no matter who you are in this country of ours, you acquired the right to vote with persistence and struggle. Even the white males, we have to remember the historical perspective, they broke away from England and the Revolutionary War that gave them the right. So everybody, again, it doesn't matter how you exercise that right, but you have that obligation to vote and to come to the table with a solution in the form of your vote, because otherwise you cannot be one of those people that just complains without bringing the solution to the table. And all that is to say is we bring, and those of you who love music may remember the song that starts one voice, and it's literally one voice, and it's usually a soprano voice, oftentimes a young male soprano voice singing one voice singing in the darkness. And as they start and the voices start and join in, that's where we really see the power of all of this together, because we take for granted that one voice is not going to make the difference. But when the one voice adds in the alto, adds in the tenor, adds in the bass, and we grow, that's where we get the chorus to effectuate the change that we need to see.
Wow, the chorus, that is one, and it starts with one vote. And then it continues on and on. Thank you, Sydney, for that. So when we are seeing now voter suppression at an all-time high, we're seeing people feeling intimidated at the polls. So Dr. Deborah Verholden, what do you have to, or I will say, what say ye about this whole discussion of election protection and the need for us to vote?
Voting is so critical, and I remind people there's more than just the presidential election on the ballot this season. A lot of the decisions that have been made that impact our health and our well-being are happening in the White House, they're happening in the State House, they're happening in your local city hall and in your county offices. And so there's a lot at stake, and people don't realize that these things are directly correlated. These are the people who made decisions about having national mask mandates or not. Look at the governors and how different governors have made different decisions and how those decisions have impacted the spread of this virus within their states and within their communities. So I really ask people to look into their heart. And we know that women have been disproportionately affected by COVID, maybe not infected, but affected, because moms are the ones who are now forced to be at home, serving as homeschool teachers, caring for elderly loved ones, working full-time to help keep the lights on, trying to manage the safety of their family and all of that. And so the decisions that were made in large part by the people that we elected. So this is not the time to throw your hands up and say, not my problem. This is the time now. If you don't like what has been happening, if you had those real barriers to getting tested that contributed to these tremendous and avoidable disparities that we saw in COVID, know that it was mostly the people that we elected who made the decisions that have us still be in the throes, in the height now of what was a very manageable pandemic. So I think the vote is more important now than ever, and I want people to do it, and I want them to do it safely.
Okay, as promised, I told y'all we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna add a little entertainment tonight too, so we can make sure y'all don't go to sleep and keep your blood flowing. So check out this young man that's coming up next. He is incredibly talented, and his penmanship, the guy is just insane with it. He's getting ready to perform and do one of my all-time favorite Marvin Gaye songs. It's called What's Going On. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Aloe Blacc.
Hi, I'm Aloe Blacc. Join me. When an artist decides to use their voice to speak about the issues of the time, they step into the arena of activism. With Marvin Gaye, his song and album What's Going On did just that. And he has inspired me as a singer and as a songwriter to use my voice for positive social transformation and to not be afraid of asking the tough questions like what's going on.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. And brother, 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 there are far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Father, Father, there's no need to escalate. War is not the answer. Only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Yeah. Picket lines, picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? I wanna know what's going on. who are they to judge us? Simply 'cause our hair is long, you know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Yeah. Picket lines and picket signs, don't you punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
I'm Jose Acevedo, the father of Joao Acevedo, fighting for justice, and we stand in solidarity with the rest of the nation. For the Republicans and Democrats, we hold you accountable. We put you in office. As God's servants, God holds you accountable as well for you to do what's right. May God bless this nation.
In the stormy season of violent campaign rhetoric, we're called to be steady in the face of the whirlwind. There's a tug of war for America's soul. We have a clear choice: take down walls of separation, build bridges of hope and unity. Love must trump ignorance and fear and hatred and violence.
Our vote is our voice. Let's march the polls together, keep them alive. Let nothing break our spirit, never surrender. Vote, 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 and keep hope alive.
My name is Loida Lewis, the widow of Reginald Lewis, the first African American to create a billion-dollar business empire in 1987. Last summer, we all witnessed the murder of George Floyd for a misdemeanor. It galvanized our community to protest the systemic racism that permeates American society. But the power we have is not in demonstrating, in shouting, in looting. We have the superpower to vote and change this systemic racism. After November 3, let us organize to register the young and the old, the rich and the poor, the homeless and the homeowner, to show the world that we are the master of our fate, the captain of our soul. Do not agonize. Let us organize and vote.
What's up, everybody? It's Attorney Biari Lamar. I'm here urging everyone to get out and vote Tuesday, November 3rd. We all know how important it is to have our voices heard. We know this year, 2020, we dealt with COVID, we dealt with police brutality, we dealt with racial injustice issues, economic issues. We need to have our voices heard, and it's time for us to make it happen this Tuesday. We need everyone there. As we know, you all have been on the front lines, whether it's been at the March on Washington, where hundreds and thousands of people have come forward, to sit out for hours to make sure that, your voices are heard in that instance. When we have marches going on from all across the country, we all are there. So now, regardless of how long it takes, we need that same enthusiasm this Tuesday. We need everyone there.
People, we are not watching an episode of Cops. This is real, and it must stop. We are raining people of color being shot at the hands of folks who don't care about us. There are other alternatives. And our alternative is to vote this Tuesday, November 3rd, to start the change and the healing.
Let's be clear. The killing of George Floyd is not an isolated incident. It is yet another lynching of an African American in an endless cycle of police brutality. We must fundamentally rethink the nature of policing in our country and deeply reform our racist criminal justice system. We need leaders dedicated to these ideals. Leaders who understand just how pervasive systemic racism is in our country and who fight like hell to change it. This starts with exercising your most important right, the right to vote.
Hi, my name is Rosalind Ray Wilkerson, and I can tell you with no doubt in my mind, there are several reasons why you need to go and vote. First of all, we have issues that are about to hit the Supreme Court that we need to make sure that we are a part of the democracy. We do not want to be robbed of our rights. We want to make sure that Medicare for all senior citizens is not touched. We want to make sure that Obamacare is not ruined just because Obama's name is on it and the person in office feels like it should be erased. There is a way to do things, and in order to be a part of those things, you must vote. You want your hand on that ballot so that you have an opportunity to voice your opinion and to make strides in what democracy there is that all people should have a right to make a decision about. There is a constitution. Things are being done for personal reasons. That should not happen. Whoever is in that White House should be doing things that take care of all citizens, whether they are in the blue district, the red district. This is America, and what has to be done should be done for all Americans. In order to make sure that that happens, you have to go and vote. I know many people who understand one thing for sure. Our ancestors fought for us years before we even landed on this earth. And I tell you, they are looking down at us now and saying, fight for your rights, vote. You have no voice if you don't go and vote. We cannot take for granted that what is happening now with the voting is going to be accurate. So in order to make sure there is a landslide and we get someone in office who has a moral compass, we must go and vote so there is not a question as to who won the election. Vote.
That's my Auntie Roz. She spoke the truth and nothing but the truth. And I believe everyone that's involved in this event tonight will be direct and honest with you to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. Okay, so next up is a man who, let me see, he needs no introductions, that's for sure. And this man is not only a dear friend, but this is one of my brothers. And I know that a lot of times for myself and for many people that don't get so deep into politics, you know where I get a lot of my information from and I'm informed and educated from? This guy right here, one of the smartest guys on the planet to me, a guy that I love dearly, that is my brother. I'm talking about the one and only Mr. Arsenio Hall.
Hi, I'm Arsenio Hall. Have you ever heard of the Jelly Bean Literacy Test? There's been an effort to keep us from voting since the 1900s. Vote, everybody. We built the White House, and it's our job to help decide who's going to live in it. And you know what? I want you to vote every chance you get until we turn this thing around. Maybe you can even run for office.
It's important that we remember those who came before us as the next generation able to vote in this year's elections.
Hola, soy Zaira Solano, soy abogada de inmigración y también la fundadora del bufete de abogados Solano. Es muy importante que nosotros los inmigrantes, la comunidad latina, vote en estas elecciones. Yo sé exactamente lo que estamos pasando. Lo veo todos los días con mis clientes, que cada día la vida del inmigrante se está poniendo más y más difícil en los Estados Unidos. Tú viniste para un futuro mejor. Yo también. Todos los inmigrantes queremos lo mismo. Queremos un futuro mejor en este país. Queremos vivir la vida que en nuestros países no pudimos alcanzar. Este es el sueño americano. Y yo le pido, por favor, que para poder cambiar nuestra historia, para poder tener un futuro mejor, nuestros hijos, nietos y todos aquellos que están buscando el sueño americano, necesitamos votar. Busquen su prima, su vecina, su tío, su papá, su mamá, su hijo, no importa quién sea. Tenemos que unirnos como comunidad y ir a votar lo más antes posible, porque solamente el gobierno en este país, a través de nuestro voto, nos puede ayudar a mejorar nuestra condición y también tener un futuro mejor para los inmigrantes. Así que el 3 de noviembre o antes, no se olvide votar.
Hello, my name is Joey Dosick, broadcasting from Los Angeles, California. Born and raised, got my Lakers shirt on. We're trying to imagine a world where the police are out of our schools. We're trying to imagine a world where everyone had equal access to great health care, to the right to vote, to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm trying to imagine this world today. And all the rest of our days, we're going to put in the work. I want to play some songs for you. Maybe we could also imagine that we're not just in a virtual space, that we're somehow in the same mental, physical, and spiritual space too. I want to play a song called Take Mine.
I know this is a trying time. You cried until your tears run dry. Your tears run dry. So why not take mine? Running and you can't go on pretending when you don't have your smile. You've lost your smile, so why not take mine? Oh, take mine, take mine. I'll give you anything you need. You don't have to beg and plead to take mine. Take some of mine. Give you all you ask of me. Take my eyes so you can see. I can listen to you, honey. And if you ask, I can give my advice. Take some of mine. I'll shine my light in your darkest time. Take mine. Take mine.
Hey, black men, we need you. We need your voice. We need your vote. We haven't forgotten about you. We care about you. And we cannot move. President Obama used to always say this to us in the administration. We cannot move this country forward without our fathers. And he always said that out of his personal commitment, just like you just had with your son, with the love of his two daughters. So every morning when he woke up as president, before he was president of the country, he had to first bring his presidency out of the love he had for his two daughters. Wow. Just the value of black men, you know, making an effort out here with this election to just do all we can to vote. That would be tremendous.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this next guy has been the voice for the voiceless. He has represented many families that have lost loved ones to police brutality. This guy is absolutely fearless, and this guy is absolutely a true warrior. I'm talking about the one and only Mr. Benjamin Crump.
I'm Attorney Ben Crump, and I'm encouraging everybody who came out and protested for Breonna Taylor, who protested for George Floyd, who protested for Ahmaud Arbery, who protested for Jacob Blake Jr., who protested for Michael Brown, who protested for Trayvon Martin, who protested for Botham Jones, who protested for Terrence Crutcher, who protested for Philando Castile, who protested for Eric Gardner, who protested for Sandra Bland. I am asking you to make sure that same energy you had at the protest, you take to the election polls, because Breonna Taylor's blood is on the ballot. George Floyd's blood is on the ballot. Jacob Blake Jr.'s blood is on the ballot. Ahmaud Arbery's blood is on the ballot. You have to vote like your children's life depends on it, because it very well may depend on it, and we don't want you to be the next hashtag. We've had enough hashtags. Let's go out and vote to say Black Lives Matter.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump. I'm here to tell you Floridians that your vote matters. It's time to get involved and make our voices heard. There's nothing more important right now, because if you're out marching in these streets, exercising your rights, you need to exercise your right to vote. Better jobs, education, health care, and criminal justice reform. In Florida, bring your ID to vote in person or return your ballot, but do it as soon as you can. If voting in person, don't forget to bring your ID. Don't miss out on your chance to have your voice heard. So go to iwillvote.com to help make your plan to vote.
Greetings, my fellow Americans. I'm coming to you from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. My fellow Americans, there is one thing that I can assure you, and that is that as it was for our ancestors who died, bled, and paved the way for our one solitary vote, as it will be for ourselves, there will be wins. Wins come, but wins do go. I need, you need, we need to vote. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Amen.
That as we've been crying out in the streets, we've been really talking to the heartstrings of America. If those people who don't want to participate in this voting process, you are participating in the voting process, because non-participation is participation. Let's get free, y'all. Let's do it. It's on us, and it's on our future. It rests on what we do today. Thank you. Dr. Yusuf Salaam here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I had the opportunity to sit down with this powerful young lady by the name of Miss C.K. Hoffler. That's right, I'm talking about the president of the National Bar Association. And also with my papa, which you're probably saying, who the hell is your papa? I'm talking about my pops, Mr. Eddie Levert, and my good friend, longtime friend, Mr. Howard Hewett. And we were just talking about some powerful things about how this country and what we need to do to move this country forward. So you got to take a look at this. Check it out.
Well, first of all, as president of the National Bar Association, which is an organization that represents over 66,000 African-American lawyers in this country, lawyers, law professors, judges, and law students, it is a pleasure for me to start this discussion with three men who have literally serenaded and created just an incomparable legacy in the music industry, but who are also social justice engineers. When I tell you for each of them, I can remember the songs and I can recite the lyrics because I grew up with each of them. And so it is an extreme pleasure for me to bring to this audience the legendary Eddie Levert. Oh my goodness, the Eddie Levert from the OJs. People all over the world join hands. Oh, let me stop. I'm sorry. I had a moment. I just had a moment there. And it's so great to see you, Eddie Levert. Howard Hewett. What do I say about Howard Hewett? Serenading us in this country, and the women and men just couldn't wait to see you on stage for a very, very long time. I just have to thank you for all that you do and for your social justice, what you preach. You practice what you preach. Johnny Gill, my goodness, Johnny Gill. What could I say about you other than you're remarkable, you're special, you're tenacious, and you're also a social justice engineer. You also serenaded us over the years. We have followed you with great, great interest with your rise, with your magnificent voice, and we thank you. So today we have legends in the industry. We have legends in our community. We have giants in this world. And it is an honor for us to hear from them about this election 2020. What we know is that in the African-American community, actually in the world, we have to treat this election like it's our last election because there's so much at stake. Let's start with the dean of group, Eddie Levert.
I just say that we have to take this as being something that if we want change, we got to go about trying to make that change and take all the steps that we need to make to do that change. And you can, no matter what you do, you can't change people's minds. You can't change their heart, but you can change their humanity so they can think about everything as a whole, that we must do this for the whole world, because the whole world is suffering now. It's not just Black people or white people, it's the whole world. So now we have to do the things that we need to do to make that change. And so as an entertainer, I can only just say that I've turned into a preacher.
Okay, well, I'm going to now ask Howard Hewett.
Yeah.
And when you're seeing us coming upon this election that is so important.
Yeah, and thank you for that question. It's like, yeah, I mean, I appeal to Eddie's generation too. You know, when I think about COVID-19, okay, when you think about COVID-19, I think has brought out a lot of stuff as far as like our country is concerned. You know, it's around the world, but I'm talking right now about the United States, you know, us. And it's brought out as far as like when Eddie was talking about vote for humanity and stuff, is brought out a lot of feelings of like, you know, people who don't really care about other people. You know what I'm saying? And what I would say, you know, and we have to be really careful about that, because, you know, it is about our humanity. It is about, when you put on a mask, it is about, you know, having consideration for your fellow man, for your fellow citizen. You know, what I say to young people is that what we're sitting here with me, Eddie, and Johnny, what we're sitting here talking about is bettering certain situations, bettering things for their world. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm 65 years old, you know, just turned 65. If God blesses me with another 20, 25 years, I'm blessed. I'm cool with that, you know, but this is their world. This is my kids' world. This is my grandkids' world that we're talking about, trying to make better. You know, and what I appeal to a lot of young people about, and it's very difficult because of the fact that they're young people, you know, and I always stress, even to my kids, I tell them as they were growing up, I said, look, I've been your age before. You ain't never been my age before, but I've been your age before. And what I stress to a lot of young people is to view the world, view your voting privileges, and view everything. Don't vote and don't make decisions like for what I call 5 inches in front of your face decisions. You know, because it's right here. A lot of young people see right here. That's it. They just see right here. I'm not going to go vote because I don't dig, you know, the 2 candidates that are there. Okay, but somebody's going to win. And that somebody is going to be determining what your situation is, going to be making a lot of decisions as far as your everyday life is concerned. You know, I encourage them not only just to vote in the presidential elections, the federal, the national elections, but really in the local elections. The local elections are just as important. For years and years, you know, we had the whole situation as far as the midterm elections are concerned, you know, and people didn't take the midterm elections seriously. It was historically a low turnout for the midterm elections. What gives me my little ray of hope right here, as far as this whole thing is concerned, is the fact that 2018, after we elected dude into office in 2016, 2018 midterm elections were the biggest turnout we ever had in the history of midterm elections, which told me that people are kind of getting it. They're understanding that this is not a sideline type of sport that we're in. You got to get in, and you got to really participate in this whole thing. So that's what I tell young people. And it's very important, because you know they have to understand that their vote, you know, determines a lot of stuff. And the reason why they say that the Black turnout in 2016 was very low, that's because, you know, of the voter suppression, all the voter suppression tactics that were taking place at that time, you know. But I'm proud of the fact that people were diligent in still trying to vote. And now we've kind of got, I hope anyway, we've got a handle on things, that people are, that a certain party is depending on low turnout as far as like to enable to win an election. And we are understand that, hey, you got to be diligent. They're going to try and they're going to try and suppress your vote, but you got to be diligent and get out there and vote.
Absolutely. And should we say amen?
Say amen.
You're going to say amen. So, and you know, when you say Howard Hewett, did you say 65?
65, baby. And proud of it.
And proud of it. My lips will never say that. I'm going to be 37 forever. So,
I was going to tell you that he was in my demographics too, to get that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Eddie's only 20 years older than me. That's it.
Nobody asked you that, Howard. Nobody asked you that.
And you know what Howard said that rings true is the importance of voting down ballot. There are so many seats that are up this year. In Georgia, we could have 2 new senators, and one of them is Raphael Warnock, who's the as you all know, he's the senior pastor at Ebenezer, Dr. King's church, and John Ossoff as well. But Raphael Warnock has a real shot at winning the Senate seat. There could be a whole new Senate that we're looking at, and that certainly would impact the passage of bills such as the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act that would involve policing reform, such as the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, that would really ensure people have the right to vote. Because we saw in the Shelby versus Holder case in 2013, where that case dismantled a lot of the Voting Rights Act. So Johnny Gill, based on the 2018 elections, we saw record numbers of Black women in the Senate, in the Congress, in the US Congress, the House of Representatives. And we've seen a steady increasing number of Black women in that. And so young folks don't quite understand the significance of that, how important it is to get out to vote, just like Howard Hewett said, and to vote down ballot, because it will make an impact on human rights, on civil rights, on voting rights, on healthcare, on immigration. What do you say to young folks when they say, look, I'm going to stay at home and I'm just going to sit this one out? What do you say to them?
I think to get, first of all, the attention of young folks, you have to make sure that you find some form of connection with them to allow them to understand and to know that I understand how you feel, not dismissing your feelings, because the reality for young people, we were once young and thought we knew it all. We were once young and had to go through things and had to learn the hard way. it is just important, you know, as us as artists, first and foremost, having and being knowing that we have an obligation to make sure that the message that we're even putting out, that we're giving to the world, period, that we're being responsible about what we're saying and what we're doing, leading by example. And when you start to talk about young people who feel that way about the election and not wanting to vote because it's about who you like and don't like, I think we have to make them understand that at some point, we do in life, we're going to have to make decisions. And those decisions that we're going to have to make might not necessarily be decisions based on your options, are going to be what you would like. But ultimately, in life, to get through life, and we can all speak and they can all attest to this, is that to be successful, we have to learn how to work within the options that we have. We have to learn how to work and also think outside of the box. It's important that we recognize that we do have to make the best choice. The best choice don't mean it's the better choice. It's just the best choice. And so it is important for us to always, and especially for kids, because we've seen it with kids, they just feel sometimes like we're so old and we're not hip, we don't know, we're not really understanding what they're going through. To always make sure that they recognize first and foremost that we're not being dismissive to how they feel, but it is just important that they understand that we still got to make choices. And you're going to have to make choices if you want to be successful in life. And they're not going to always be the better choices. It's going to have to be the best choice. And so for me, I'm thinking in terms of looking at this. As you can see right now, I'm wearing this Good Trouble shirt. And when I think about and I look at people like John Lewis, who has shedded blood, sweat, and tears, and yet he's been in the fight, in the struggle, and there's so many of them that we ride on their shoulders that have paved the way for us, that allowed us or given us, that put us in this position to just be able to have the opportunity to go out here and vote. We can't let their living and we can't let their fight be in vain. And so even as we're the leaders right now, but we have to continue to make sure for the young people, as well as for the older people, because listen, we keep talking about just the young people, but there are a lot of older people that are really sitting here having the same dilemma and the same issue. I don't like either one. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to sit down and make the best decision, not the better decision. And in order to get to the point of doing what we need to do, and let's just be reminded, and let's remind our young people as well as the older people that this doesn't just start and stop with the leader of the free world. This has to go all the way down. If we're going to see change, we got to start from the ground up, because one man don't control this country as quiet as it's kept. And for those that don't know, and we have to understand that we got to start from, when you're dealing with trying to make change, you got to first find out where the problem stems from, where it started, where it stems from, in order to begin to start the process of fixing the problem. But we can't go here and start at the top. I mean, we got congressmen, we got all of these politicians that are not being held accountable, that are being a part of. Yes.
So you're absolutely right. In a court of law, which is where I am, and just by the way, you all know, I have the absolute honor of practicing with Willie Gary for almost 15 years, and we still do cases together. Man. He's the trial lawyer of the trial lawyer of the trial lawyer to the trial lawyer as a trial lawyer.
My God.
And I mean, he really is extraordinary. So many of us stand on his shoulders.
Yes.
So holding people accountable is important. And so, you know, Johnny, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the holding people accountable. And Howard Hewett, he started throwing some names out there. That's how we do in the church. Hold people accountable. You just brought names. That's how we do.
And you know what's bothering me so much is to have to be politically correct.
Yeah.
When we're having this message, when we're sending this message out, knowing that even the way we feel about certain things personally, we still have to lead by example by understanding how to deliver a message to those that might not agree or disagree with our outlook or our opinion about it. And in order to do so, it sometimes can be a bit frustrating because there's a million and one things that I want to say, but that's just my personal opinion. And my personal opinion can't be the end all tell all. But what I can say is when I put things in perspective and when we recognize the big $100 million question is how we're going to make a difference and make change, it doesn't matter just about my personal opinion. What matters most importantly is that we start with for our young people that we need to send out there to vote, for them to educate themselves, to be educated, to recognize, to understand that when you are going out to vote, don't just go out and vote just because we're making you or asking you to go out and vote. We need you to also understand that before you do so, educate yourself, know what you're voting for. Look and pay attention to what each individual candidate it stands for, so that you can make not the best decision, but the better decision. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it's definitely about researching. You have to research, you know, and my sister used to tell me all the time. She used to say you have to inspect what you expect, and so it's about researching. It's about getting out there and figuring out, and which I advocated for the middle class, because the middle class is like the engine of a car. I mean, you can have, Johnny, you can have the baddest Bentley out there, tricked out, polished up, chromed down, the whole thing. But if you don't have an engine, that car ain't going nowhere. And it's not going to start up. It ain't going to move. So like the middle class is like the engine of a car. And any country that I've been to through the years, if it was like either you got money or you don't have money and there's no middle class, that has always been a third world country. And so, you know, and that's what, you know, those are the things that I really stress here, you know, for us here in the United States.
Let me tell you, thank you for what you do every single day. You have no idea the amount of extraordinary impact that you have on not just our community, but on the world. So thank you.
At a serious time in history, it is so important that we take these elections seriously. We are on the precipice of making historic change. Many of us have fought for civil rights and human rights, and as fighters for human rights and as fighters for civil rights, we want to make sure that you get out and vote. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the Brown v. Board of Education decision of 1954, all of these decisions were politically related. And if you really want the change that you desire, that we deserve, and that we need as a people, you must absolutely go out and vote.
Hi, I'm Ozzy Hoffler. I recently voted. I'm 18 years old. I go to Woodward Academy in Atlanta, Georgia, and I think it's important that all young people who are able to vote, that they do, because it will make a difference in this election.
I'm Yolanda Cash Jackson, and I'm a lawyer and I'm a lobbyist, but most of all, I'm a voter. And I can tell you the most important thing that you should do is to go out and vote. And I'm not just talking about for president. You should vote for your city council. You should be voting for your state attorney, because all of those people make decisions about our everyday lives. Whether or not we have body cameras, whether or not we have chokeholds, all those decisions are made by people just like you. So go out and vote, and vote, vote, vote.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this next guy up, I know him very, 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 very well. You want to know why? Because this is my other brother. This guy I've worked with for many, many years. If you've seen me perform on stage, you've seen him at some point with me on stage. And I'm talking about the one and only from New Edition. I'm talking about the one and only from Belle Biv DeVoe. I'm talking about the one and only, my brother, Mr. Ronald DeVoe.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ronald Boyd DeVoe Jr.,
and I'm here to speak to you about the importance of voting. Number one, so many of our ancestors have fought and died for us to have the privilege to cast our ballot and have our voices be heard. We cannot let them down by turning a blind eye to their sacrifice. Number two, there are so many things that people in power do to stop us from voting. If it didn't mean anything or it was detrimental to us as a people, they would be handing it to us on a silver platter. Let's think about that. Number three, we cannot complain about systemic racism, injustice, or the gatekeepers of it if we are not doing our civic duty to elect the people that can begin to tear it down. We've got so much work to do. On top of supporting each other with our dollars and joining organizations that speak to our best interests, we gotta become more active. Please understand, voting is just one piece of the puzzle, but it's a huge piece. And no matter who wins, we have to hold these politicians accountable from the top down. Let's pay attention to who's running for local offices because that affects us even more directly. It's really life or death, and decisions hang in the balance of your vote.
Unbelievable. So we need the millenniums. We need the first-time voters. We need everybody to get out and vote. I don't care if they have to bring you in a wheelchair. If they have to sign yourself out the hospital, you have to do this. This is a must. All of our lives depend on us. Now he's talking about cutting off Social Security. How will we eat? How will we pay our rent? How will we do anything?
Greetings, everyone. My name is Joe Piggy. I serve as the Director of Music and Arts here at the Mountaintop Faith Ministries in Las Vegas. Listen, we're so excited to be a part of this amazing event. As you've already heard, I'm sure several times, it's all about the votes. Do your part, get out and vote. We need to make a change, but it only matters if you get out, go to the polls, and make sure that your voice is heard by voting. Listen, we've been invited to offer up music for this wonderful presentation. Unfortunately, because we cannot gather in large numbers or arenas or even auditoriums, we thought we would just do it virtually. So I trust that you would go in and enjoy our music ministry here at Mountaintop Faith Ministries. Special shout out to our pastor, Pastor Clinton House and Dr. Marielle House, the Mountaintop Faith Ministries. Everyone remain safe and stay blessed. Enjoy this song.
Just look at somebody beside you and tell them, I'm still sold out. Come hell or high water, I'm still sold out. Nothing can separate me. Yep, clap your hands, everybody. Let's put it in the house, say, I am sold. I am sold out. My mind is made up. Yes, sir. Said I'm sold out. I am sold out. Declare it, my mind is made up. Say it again, I'm sold out. I am sold out. Yeah, say my mind is made up. Sing it to your neighbor if you got one time. I am sold out. Yes, sir. Tell them, my mind is made up. Come on, let's testify right here and say, who can separate? Who can separate us from the love of Jesus? Yeah, not death. Not death. Nor life. Jesus paid. Anybody glad that he did it? Said I'm sold out. I am sold out. Come on, let's stay right there. I'm sold out. I am sold out. Let's lift it up. Say I'm sold out. Say I am sold out. Said I am sold out. I am sold out. Yeah, said I am sold out. I am sold out. Anybody sold out? Declare it. Say sold out. Come on, let's testify again. My heart is fixed. My mind. Yeah, no root, no vacancy. I'm all filled up. Yeah, his spirit lives. His spirit lives in me, and that's the reason I'm sold out. Get happy and say yeah.
In my community, we have seen people die because of crime or police killings. Disgraceful.
Terrible. Evil.
And it must stop. We hope that our elected officials will work to do a change.
Greetings. I'm Dr. Christian Gregory. And I'm here today to ask you to vote. But don't just vote. Vote safely. Reach out to your friends, your family, your colleagues, your loved ones, your neighbors. Make sure they have the ability and the capacity to vote.
We must vote because our children's lives depend on it. This is a critical election no matter how you choose to view this, so get in some good trouble like Congressman John Lewis. Our democracy is at stake, so get to the polls before it's too late, because your voice is the only way that we can make this country great. For our children, we have to be a continuing source of hope. So why sit back when you can make a positive impact by showing up to the polls to vote?
Okay, so are you guys still with us? So if you're in front of your computer or in front of your television, here's what I need you to do right now. Take a quick second, and I want you to just stretch. Stretch, stretch. Get the blood flowing. Don't you leave us right now, because we still have more entertainment, and we got some more powerful voices coming up at you in just a minute.
The most important thing that we can do in this season is to vote and be heard and be counted.
Okay, so this next guy that I'm about to bring to you, he actually really truly needs no introduction. This guy has been on the battlefield for a long, long time, fighting for justice for us all. He's also a man of God. That's his secret weapon. One of the most powerful lawyers in the industry. I'm talking about the one and only, Mr. Willie Gary.
Hi, I'm Willie Gary. And as my old Baptist preacher brother used to say, I stopped by to tell you that you have a job to do. And you don't have the right not to do it. You got to get up, get out, and you got to vote. You got there because of the likes of Fannie Lou Hamer, Dr. King, and many others, foot soldiers. We're not asking you, we're ordering you to get out and exercise your right to vote.
Here we go again. Okay, let's speak on it.
Where we at?
Yeah. Rise up. I was born as a black man, raised by a black man. Now I'm feared as a black man because of my color. Tell me, how does it make sense? You get no consequence. We get killed over nothing because of our color. I don't know what to do, but I'm tired of you taking all of my fame. There is no excuse. What you want us to do ain't gon' put up with you. They keep getting away. Murder. Oh, we're not okay. We're taking us from our family. Yeah, and we're not okay. We're not okay. We're not okay. Yeah, yeah. So you wanna act like us? Wanna look like us? You wanna dress like us, but you don't respect us? How do you look in the mirror when you give us a reason to fear us? You think it's a game, but we ain't playing. The way you're doing us is a shame. I don't know what to do, but I'm tired of you taking all of my fame. There is no excuse. What you want us to do ain't gon' put up with you. We keep getting away. Murder. Where is the love? We're not okay. Something's gotta change. Not okay. Because we all bleed the same. Not okay. It's getting harder to forgive when we're the only ones that's losing our lives for no good reason. Yeah, I know you want us to pretend but we're okay and just get over it. Not this time, we won't lay down. We're not okay, okay? We're not okay. We've gotta find a way, yeah, to bring some loving, loving here today. What's going on? Stop judging us. Stop being afraid of our color. Oh, give us a chance. You just might find out that you love us. Oh, a change has gotta come. I believe a change is coming, y'all. My people hold on. It will be okay.
Buenos días, saludo a la comunidad. Mi nombre es doctor J.J. Solano, dentista, doctor en cirugía dental. Es importante para todos que en estas elecciones participen, porque de aquí dependen muchas decisiones que se puedan tomar en favor de la comunidad. Yo soy un dentista que me dedico a trabajar con la familia, con el niño, con el adolescente, con el adulto. Es muy, pero muy importante que se haga una buena participación. Es su derecho a votar, es su derecho a elegir. Por favor, vayan y voten.
I had some of the greatest mentors in the world that told me that that was important. People lived and died and struggled and fought and bled so we could vote. Now we have our chance to do it, and we're not going to? No, I grew up with people that were teaching me about the Thurgood Marshalls and the Jimmy Lee Jacksons and the people that did the voter die registrations and Reverend Yearwoods and I mean, it's just like I say, I thought it was the natural order thing for us to be in 2020 still emphasizing to people that it's important to vote. Something's gone terribly wrong. Go vote. Get your butt out there and vote. Make a difference.
We must support candidates who will stand arm in arm with us as we march for justice. We have to vote in order to ensure a more fair and equitable society for all people.
Hello, my name is Omarosa, and I am honored to join this social justice rally to say to you that we are not unqualified. We're not wacky. We are not low IQ. We are not mad women or monsters. We are not dogs. In fact, we are powerful. Our vote is our power. Our vote is our voice. So we must show up and show out. They know that if we show up to vote, that things change. That means that the gutting of the Voting Rights Act changed. That means the oppressive tactics that they've used to keep us from voting and turning out, that all changes by simply voting. So we must end racial prejudice, the racial disparities, the police brutality that plagues our communities. And we can all do that if we show up and vote like our lives depend on it, because it does. Go out and vote.
This is Samuel, I don't need no introduction, L. Jackson, saying to everybody who hasn't voted already, get in line Tuesday and vote. Or if you got time this weekend, go and drop your ballot off in a box somewhere. But if you haven't already, if you can go and register on the date in whatever state you're in and vote, do that. But whatever, get your ass out there and vote.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Eugenia. Recientemente me hice ciudadana americana. ¿El por qué? Para ir a votar. Nuestro voto es nuestra voz. Y yo los invito a todos los ciudadanos americanos que salgan a votar.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to tell you guys, you're in for one. Get closer to your television. Get closer to your computers. Because up next is one of the most powerful figures that we all know that represents all of us. And he is just the most powerful speaker that I've ever seen. And I'm talking about the one and only Mr. Al Sharpton.
Hi, I'm Reverend Al Sharpton. Just like George Floyd, we've had to operate in society with a knee on our neck in the areas of policing, in the areas of business, employment, education, healthcare, always a knee on our neck. And because of that situation, I'm hearing some people saying, well, I'm not voting. It just doesn't work. To not vote is to commit yourself and submit yourself to that knee on your neck. To vote is to put people in office that will put laws in and hold people that hold us down accountable. You can't have juries and judges and prosecutors if you don't vote for it. You can't even be on a jury without being a registered voter. To not vote is to ignore what they did to George Floyd, to Breonna Taylor, to Ahmaud Arbery, to ignore the racial disparities in healthcare and education and all. You are in the system. The clothes you wear, they had to clear that with some board saying, well, you can have a clothing store in that area. That's a commercial area. Where you live, they designated a residential area. The food you eat was approved by Food and Drug Administration. So what are you talking about? You're not in this. You are in it. What you wear, what you eat, where you live is in it. The question is, do you have enough self-respect to vote and decide who is going to make the decisions in it? We in it, so now let's win it.
Well. Yes. Hey, it is time to say goodbye. Wow. Time went by so fast. I just want to take time to say thank you to each and every one of you guys. It has been truly an honor and a pleasure to share the space and time with you guys this evening. It's been truly a blessing. And I also want to thank those that stand in solidarity with us, because this is a very important time for all of us, and we all must come together and stand together, pray together as we try to move this country forward. And I want to give a shout out to CW Consultant and Communications and Voice de la Frontera for bringing us together. I mean, what a lovely night we all had. And just remember, every individual out there, go out and vote. If you haven't voted, please go out and vote. Vote because our lives depend on it. And thank you guys so much, and good night.
Want to get rid of anybody that's in our way, because our parents died to give us the right to vote.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. And brother, 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 there are far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Father, Father, there's no need to escalate. War is not the answer. Only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Yeah, picket lines, picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on.